All right, today we are opening up the President's Playbook. We're talking about Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution. Think of it as the official and original job description for what is arguably one of the most powerful positions on the planet. We're going to break down what the job is, how you get it, and the incredible powers, and the just as critical limits that come right along with it.
It all starts with this one sentence right here. This single line from Section 1 is the bedrock for everything else. It doesn't just describe a job, it literally creates an entire branch of government and puts all of that power into the hands of one person, the president. Every single thing we're about to talk about flows from this one foundational idea.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the idea of executive power itself. Then we'll walk through the path to actually becoming president. After that, we dive into the nitty-gritty of the president's powers, and we'll finish up with the super important checks that are designed to keep all that power in balance.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. Before we get into all the specific things a president can do, the Constitution first has to establish the office itself. So what does it actually mean to be the president?
Well, for starters, the job has a 4-year term. But way more importantly, before a president can do anything, literally anything, they have to swear an oath. And this is not just some ceremony. It is their very first official duty, and it binds them to one core promise: to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. That's job number one. So, that sounds like a big job, right? The natural next question is, how does someone actually get it? Article 2 is really specific, not just about the qualifications, but also about the whole process of getting elected. Here are the 3 main boxes you have to tick. It's a pretty short list, actually. You have to be a natural-born citizen, you've got to be at least 35 years old, and you need to have lived in the U.S. for 14 years. That's it. Constitutionally speaking, there are no other requirements for the job. Now, here's one of the most debated parts of Article 2, how we actually elect the president. See, the Constitution doesn't set up a system where the person with the most individual votes wins. Instead, it creates what we now call the Electoral College. Each state appoints electors, and they are the ones who officially cast the votes for president. This was really the framers' big compromise, trying to balance the power of big states with the interests of the smaller ones. And this whole process is like a multi-step machine. First, states pick their electors. Then, those electors meet and cast their votes. Those results get sealed up and sent to Washington, where they're officially counted in front of Congress. But, and this is key, there's a backup plan. If nobody gets a majority of the electoral votes, the whole thing gets tossed over to the House of Representatives to decide. And if that happens, the House and the Senate get 2 different jobs. The House of Representatives gets to pick the new president, but it's a special kind of vote. Each state delegation only gets 1 vote. And at the exact same time, the Senate gets to choose the vice president. Okay, so we know what the office is and how you get there. Now we're getting to the good stuff, the real heart of Article 2, the powers. What can a president actually do? This is the official job description straight from the source. First and foremost, the president is the commander-in-chief of the military. This is huge. It establishes civilian control over the armed forces. They also get to run the executive branch itself. That means they can demand reports from their cabinet secretaries, and they have the final say in commissioning all federal officers. This is all about command and control. The president is also our #1 diplomat on the world stage. They have the power to make treaties and appoint ambassadors and judges. But, and this is a big but, that power is not absolute. For those big actions, they need the advice and consent of the Senate. The Senate has to approve them. It's a perfect example of shared power in action. And what about here at home? Well, the president has a direct line to Congress. They're required to give them a State of the Union update, and they can recommend new laws they think are needed. And they hold a major judicial power, the ability to grant pardons for federal crimes. Of all the duties we've listed, this little clause from Section 3 might just be the most important one. This is the president's fundamental job. Congress writes the laws, but the president has the constitutional duty to take care that those laws are actually carried out. It is the very essence of executive power. So, when you step back and look at all this, the military power, the foreign policy power, the domestic power, it really makes you wonder, right? With so much authority put into the hands of just one person, what's to stop that power from becoming absolute? And that is the perfect lead-in to our final section, the limits. Because Article 2 doesn't just hand out power, it also very carefully builds in guardrails, checks,
and systems of accountability to keep that power from running wild. The first and most immediate check is just the line of succession. The idea is that the office is bigger than any single person. If a president is removed, dies, or just can't do the job anymore, power transfers immediately to the vice president. This ensures the government keeps running and avoids a dangerous power vacuum.
And as we've kind of already seen, the other branches get a major say in things. The Senate has to sign off on treaties and major appointments, and that really powerful pardon power we talked about, it has a hard limit. A president can't use it to stop or reverse an impeachment. And that brings us to the ultimate constitutional safety valve, impeachment. Section 4 lays out the process for removing a president from office for treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, that last phrase is pretty broad on purpose. It's generally understood to mean a serious abuse of power that threatens the country itself.
So, there you have it. From the oath of office all the way to the power of impeachment, Article 2 gives us the complete blueprint for the American presidency. It's a design for immense power, but also one of careful, deliberate limitation. Which leaves us with the big question, the one every single generation has to answer for itself. How do we apply these 230-year-old words to the completely new challenges we face today?